welcome back, everybody. So I know many of us have been thinking about the last few weeks and all the insanity that's going on in the world today, especially here in North America. And many of us wondered, how the hell did we get here? Many of us look at the insanity that is going on in the world today, and we wonder how this happened. We wonder how anyone could vote for a guy like Joe Biden or Justin Trudeau. We look at ideas like the far-left progressive extremism, and we look at this as an insane idea, and we're stunned that others don't see the same thing. I mean, especially those of us, I guess that are, kind of in the middle even, or, conservative. It's really strange to see how people that we consider to be rational thinkers would overlook the obvious sometimes. In some recent conversations with younger people, I noted that they, much like many young people, operate on, emotions to make their decisions, and they don't actually give the issues any real thought. They have an emotional response based on what social media seems to be telling them. When asked about the recent election in the U.S., they could tell me, how they thought Donald Trump was a racist. They couldn't provide any examples of how he was a racist. They could tell me about how evil he was, but they couldn't give me any examples of why Orange Man is so bad. Our population is becoming more and more extreme left-leaning without even knowing why they lean left or truly understanding the issues that are actually at hand. They rely on our left-based media to give them the facts and forsake critical thinking. Well, facts as the left-leaning media seems to perceive them, though I'm not even sure that they believe what they're selling. So a large portion of why the kids don't think anymore is due in large part to the schools indoctrinating our children. With most teachers and university professors leaning hard to the left, bordering on extremists at times, it's not hard to see how when our kids spend more time with those teachers and professors than with their parents and their family, how this influence can occur. A friend of mine whose daughter's in university was asked to read the Communist Manifesto as required reading for her classes here in Canada. Now, I don't think the Communist Manifesto, it's necessarily a bad idea for people to read about these dangerous Marxist ideologies. However, without any exposures from both sides of the aisle or both sides of the debate, how can this be considered education? Ask yourself that. If our children are only receiving, instruction from one side of the aisle, one perspective, it ceases to become education and becomes indoctrination, clear and simple. Add to this that the average young person's attention span is about 30 seconds or less, or however the hell long a TikTok video is, you have an ideal programmable little zombie. Kids today can't be bothered to pay attention. If it isn't in the form of some social media post, well, this seems to be a perfect recipe for ignorant, indoctrinated voters that lean hard left. Ask yourself if you know of anyone today under the age of 30 that truly knows anything about politics or political issues. Are these people who actually take a few moments to understand the issues before they make an educated vote? Well, the answer is no. Most people don't make an educated vote, and even, older voters oftentimes don't make any educated votes, and this is a serious problem. In the 2019 federal election here in Canada, we had over 2 million kids come of age to vote. 2 million pliable, left-leaning voters that are ripe for the picking, fresh out of our educational institutions that also lean hard left. It's not surprising that left-leaning parties seem to get a stranglehold on our governments, both here in Canada and in the U.S. Situation seems to be very similar. Add to this that companies like We Foundation here in Canada are being allowed in our schools to brainwash our kids to progressive leftist ideologies, and make no mistake about it, they don't even hide that. The We Foundation is nothing more than a partner of the Liberal Party funded by liberals to indoctrinate your kids, to ensure liberals continue to have power when these voters come of age. And let's not forget the several $100 million that Trudeau almost got away with, giving them not so long ago. This is an organization surrounded by scandal, yet our government was going to give them hundreds of millions of dollars. Folks, every time there's an election, we have more and more left-leaning voters coming of age. And the Liberals know this. When we don't take the time to educate our own children against radical leftist ideologies, we risk being in a dangerous place as a society. We can't continue leaning further and further to the left. Eventually, you fall over. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not advocating for indoctrinating our kids into hard right conservative thinking either. What I am saying is that we need to teach our kids to think again and not just feel that they're making the right choice because of media pressures or because, their parents voted left or their parents voted conservative. We need to have responsible voters at the polls thinking about what their vote means. We need to teach our children to think for themselves and actually think for themselves, not have their teachers think for them. Take the U.S., for example. Within the first few days, 75,000 people plus lost their jobs due to new policies from the Biden campaign, the new Biden administration. Even here in Canada, our pipeline in Alberta has come to a grinding halt. Consequences from an uneducated, indoctrinated voter base, voting on issues they know nothing about. Nobody gave any thought to how these ideas were actually going to impact society, impact, our citizens prior to ticking that box at the polls. So how did we get here? Ask yourself how you were so blind as to not see this in advance. Well, I think many of us did, but we just chose to do nothing about it because it was easier. So my call is this. Protect your children, and even yourselves for that matter, from stupid ideas. And make your kids think again. Talk to them about politics. And talk to them about the importance of ensuring that they make an educated vote when it comes time to ticking that box and doing their civic duty to vote on what actually matters and what's going to change the direction of this country. Because now more than ever, we're going to need educated voters, especially here in Canada with the potential looming, federal election coming up. Make sure your children understand. Thanks for listening. I'll see you guys next time.